Ever heard of a backdoor Roth IRA, but aren't sure if it applies to you? Or maybe you've been doing it, but want to ensure you're getting it right? Today, we're breaking it all down, both the basics and advanced strategies to help you build long term tax free wealth. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast with your money best friends. I'm Dr. Brittany Helford.
And I'm Dr. Alicia Taylor.
And of course, we're here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so you can create the life you desire with more control over your time. Hey, Alicia, one of the most important financial tasks we do as doctors is protect ourselves, which means getting the right insurance. I recall purchasing my insurance policy just a few days before I graduated from residency. What was your experience?
So I got my insurance when I graduated from medical school right before I started residency. I actually called a few agents, but I had the best service from Pradeep Auto at PKA Insurance Group. He was super responsive and personable. Unlike some of the other agents, Pradeep actually got me quotes from all the major companies and actually took the time to explain the nuances in each of their policies. What I loved most is that he wasn't just this way for me. Whenever I would send one of my friends to him, he would not only speak to them, but he'd also let them know where to go or who to contact if there were better options or discounts available.
At PKA Insurance Group, Pradeep Auto and Matthew Peterson are independent brokers focusing on disability and life insurance. They excel in securing coverage for physicians and other medical professionals. Discounts on disability insurance can range from 10 to 40% depending on your situation. And there is now an A+ rated carrier offering up to $10 million of life insurance without lapse. If you are very healthy with limited to no medical issues, approval is likely in 5 minutes. Reach out to PKA Insurance to discuss your disability or life insurance needs at www.pkainsurance.com or call 1-800-258-1018.
Alicia, oh my gosh, I feel like I haven't talked to you for some time. Usually we're like in the chats every single day, and I was laid up in bed for a few days with my phone off. So how are you? How's your life? What's going on?
Things are good. Things are good over here on this end. I just have been quite busy at work trying to prep various presentations. It's that time of the year where I think a lot of the residents and a lot of the physician organizations are starting to think about different innovative topics that they can offer to their members or to other physicians. And one of those topics is inevitably the topic of finance. And so this is around the time of the year where I get asked to speak on investing and contract negotiation and insurance and debt repayment strategies and things like that. So I am currently still doing all of my regular duties, research and all of that, but also now prepping a ton of presentations because I am going to be speaking quite a bit this semester.
Congratulations. That's good. I always feel a little overwhelmed about how busy I am as well. But then busy sometimes can be a blessing. That means that people look to you as an expert to have authority around finance, personal finance, and you have a message to deliver. So that's a blessing.
It is, it just is time consuming. I always try to make sure that the sessions are interactive. I try to anticipate the questions that I might get and go ahead and try to address them. And of course, no one wants someone to just be talking at them for an hour on end. And so just trying to figure out ways to keep them engaged, but to also deliver quite a bit of content. The topic of finance tends to be a topic that a lot of people have not heard of before. And so whenever you're learning something new, right, you like it in bite-sized pieces. When it's too much, you start feeling overwhelmed. And so it's like, okay, how can I decrease feelings of overwhelm and still maximize the amount of learning that participants are doing? So it's always interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I hear you. I was asked to design a TED talk. It's like 10 to 15 minutes, which none of my talks are that short. So I'm like, I almost said no because I was thinking about the work. I'm like, can I just use something that I've already delivered before? But that is coming up this Saturday, and I wholeheartedly hear you. Like, I have not finished it. So I'm right there. I understand, but I'm trying to stay grounded in, they thought that I was more than an expert to deliver this topic to their audience and that I have something valuable to say. So Brittany, get that value out in a presentation. So good luck to you. And I'm hoping that I could get my talk out as well. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a money mishap. Let me ask you, do you have any money mishaps about the topic of a Roth IRA or backdoor Roth IRA? Because I know that this is something that is really confusing for a lot of people.
Yeah, so this is not a mistake that I personally have made, a mistake that my cousin has made. I'm putting him on blast. Sorry, cousin. I was at my brother's baby shower because apparently there's something in the water and both of my brothers keep making babies. And so my second brother, his wife, my sister-in-law is pregnant again, and we had their baby shower this weekend. Obviously, there's a lot of family there, and during the baby shower, got asked a bunch of finance questions, and one of my cousins says, "Hey, Leisha, I got to ask you a tax question." And I'm like, "Okay, what's your question?" He's like, "So, I contributed to my Roth IRA, but I think I make too much money and now I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Oh, okay, let's like unpack this." And of course, he realizes it as he's trying to file his taxes in H&R Block or TurboTax, like one of those softwares, and it's kind of alerting him that he makes too much money to contribute directly to a Roth IRA. And he's like, "Well, I already contributed, so now I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Well, congratulations. This means that you're making a substantial amount. Per IRS rules, when you start making over a certain amount, I think for single people, it's around, what is it, like 140, $150,000, you start being phased out of being able to contribute directly to a Roth IRA." And he has hit that mark. So I was like, "Congratulations, you're making a lot more money now. This is great. But now we've got to fix this issue." And so I kind of walked him through it like, "Oh, it's not a problem. This happens. Sometimes people don't know how much money they're going to make in a year. And so they may not be aware that they may be sort of incomed out of contributing directly to a Roth IRA." And so what I told him is like, "Hey, you just call Fidelity, recharacterize the contribution. So we'll do that for him. And then we'll have him do his backdoor Roth IRA process this year." And so if that just sounded confusing to everybody listening, common knowledge, or at least what Brittany and I sort of try to teach people, is that there's two ways to contribute to a Roth IRA. One way is directly, and the other way is indirectly. And if you make too much money, you can't contribute directly to a Roth IRA. You have to contribute indirectly to a Roth IRA. And that's what I was helping my cousin with at the baby shower. In between baby shower games and people tasting baby foods and us chomping on barbecue, I was helping my cousin with taxes and helping him fix this mistake.
Well, that's what family is for. And I think that this is a great segue. So if you feel like, wait, hold on, Alicia, there's income limits. I don't know. Did I make a mistake? Well, we hope to clarify all of that in our financial focus for today.
As physicians, one of the most important things that we can do is make sure that we secure our income, because a lot of our financial plans are contingent on our high doctor income. One of the things that you will need to do is make sure that you get long-term disability insurance.
Now, Pradeep and his team at PKA Insurance Group have a reputation for putting people over profits and always doing what's best. Do not hesitate to email PKA Insurance and his team today.
They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.
So, Alicia, you mentioned indirect, direct, and the whole topic that we're going to be talking about is a backdoor Roth IRA. So, can you just tell us, what is a backdoor Roth IRA? Like, why do people name it? Why did we give it this backdoor designation?
Yeah, I think we called it the backdoor Roth IRA just because it's you contributing to a Roth IRA indirectly. And so they're like, "All right, you can't contribute directly. You can't contribute through the front door. You got to go through the back, right? You got to go through these extra steps in order to contribute." So I think that's why it's called the backdoor Roth IRA.
All right. When we think about a Roth IRA, that essentially means that that is an individual retirement account, IRA. And then the Roth designation means that you are putting post tax dollars, meaning this money that you're putting into this account, you've already paid taxes on. And so you're putting post tax dollars into an individual retirement account, and that is what gives it the Roth designation. Now, when we think about using a Roth, you can go directly, putting the money directly into the account, or you can do a conversion. So when we consider what is a backdoor Roth IRA, yes, it's an indirect way to put money into a Roth IRA, but it's essentially a Roth conversion. And the reason why, as Leisha mentioned in the money mishap that her cousin had, is that the IRS or the government limits who can take the front door. And they put income limits on who can contribute directly into a Roth IRA and those who need to take the back door or to do the Roth conversion if they exceed those income limits, which is the dilemma that Leisha's cousin got into. So, when we think about a Roth conversion, essentially what that is that we're taking money that has been put into another account. So, in this case, the Backdoor Roth IRA is putting that money into a traditional IRA, and we're converting it over into a Roth IRA. So you put the money first into a traditional IRA and then you convert it over into a Roth IRA. And that whole process is called a backdoor Roth IRA. Now, we're going to break that down in more detail. So if you're like, I still don't know, stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Alicia, when you're describing some of the benefits or why people have to do this and using the traditional IRA, what do you coach people or how do you help them to navigate this and understand this concept a little bit better?
Yeah, so I think when I am first talking about the backdoor Roth IRA, I usually kind of start very simply and say most people have a goal where they want their money to grow. And they want their money ideally to grow to a level where they're able to build wealth. And it's not only important to have a lot of money and to be able to build wealth, but you want to also be able to keep that wealth. In other words, you got to minimize how much you're paying in taxes over time. And most people, they're like, okay, yes, I'm following you. That makes sense. All right. When we talk about allowing our money to grow and also minimizing how much money we pay in taxes, one of the things that comes to mind is what accounts can I use? What accounts can I use that give me some sort of tax advantage? What accounts can I use that decrease the amount of taxes that I will pay? And when it comes to investment accounts that are tax advantaged, oftentimes those accounts are retirement accounts. The government wants to incentivize people to save and invest money for retirement. And so because of that, they give you a tax advantage or allow you to pay less money in taxes when you do so. Okay, when you contribute to retirement accounts, you usually get some sort of tax advantage in doing so. Most people contribute to retirement accounts through their job. Those are work retirement accounts. Maybe it's a 401k, a 403b, the TSP, a solo 401k, a SEP IRA, those kinds of things. So they're contributing money for the most part to retirement accounts at their job. But they can also contribute money to a retirement account outside of their job. And that is what we call an individual retirement account or an IRA. Technically speaking, the A stands for individual retirement arrangement, but we say account for simplicity's sake. When you're thinking about you want your money to grow, you want to invest your money over time, you want to use accounts that will allow you to pay less money in taxes. And oftentimes those accounts are retirement accounts. Most people are going to contribute to a retirement account at their job. But then what we're talking about today is that you can also contribute to retirement accounts outside of your job. And that means contributing to an IRA. When it comes to IRAs, there are two main types. There's a traditional IRA and there's a Roth IRA. And the difference in those accounts is when you pay taxes on the money. In a traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction the year that you contribute to the money. And then the money grows over time and you pay taxes on the money when you withdraw the money from the account. And a Roth IRA is the exact opposite. You pay the taxes up front, you invest the money, it grows over time, and then you withdraw that money in retirement tax-free. So the question becomes, when do you want to pay taxes on the money? Do you want to pay the taxes up front or do you want to pay the taxes later? For high income people, for people who make over a certain amount of money, when it comes to contributing to an individual retirement account, you don't get a deduction for contributing to a traditional IRA. The government says, hey, once you make over this amount of money, we're not going to give you any tax advantage to contribute to a traditional IRA. And so the only account really left for us that we can get any sort of discount, if you will, is contributing to a Roth IRA. So for a lot of people, they are saying, okay, I want to contribute as much as I can to my retirement account at my job, and then I want to contribute some money to a Roth IRA as well. Remember, the advantage of the Roth IRA is that it's not attached to your job. So you can call a brokerage firm, Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, whatever. You can tell them you want to open a Roth IRA. You can put the money in the account, right? Transfer it from your bank account to the Roth IRA. You can invest that money over time and then take that money out in retirement completely tax-free. So that's what the Roth IRA is. And that's great for a lot of people. For a lot of people, especially the average American who makes the average American income, that works great. That's what my cousin and the example that I gave prior was doing for years, right? Each year he would contribute to his work retirement account and then he would also contribute the maximum allowed to his Roth IRA. The problem is that once you start making a certain amount of money, you can't even contribute to a Roth IRA directly. And you have to then go through other steps in order to get money into that account. And those other steps are the backdoor Roth IRA process. And so I feel like when I break it down like that, they're like, okay, yeah, I want to invest money. I want my money to grow. I want to minimize taxes. I know that I can contribute to my work retirement account and an IRA. I make too much money to contribute or get any sort of tax deduction for a traditional IRA contribution. So now I got to go to the Roth IRA. I'm doing my Roth IRA. Oh, now I make too much money to even contribute to the Roth IRA directly. And so now I got to do this backdoor Roth IRA process. And so that's sort of how I explain it. And most people, I think, can get with me that far. And then they usually say, now hold up. I don't know how to do this backdoor Roth IRA process. It sounds confusing. You keep giving me all these letters and all these steps, and I've never done it, and I'm confused and I'm scared, so I'm not going to do it at all. And we're hoping to alleviate some of those concerns today.
Well, Alicia, you said a mouthful, girl. And I am like, okay, whenever I explain this, I always get this question. Like people are jumping in my DMs. Well, wait, what? Should I do this every year? And why should I do this again? So for me, it makes a lot of sense. But I think a lot of people have confusion about why the backdoor Roth IRA is so strong and can be such a great benefit to high income earners. So as Leisha said, as a high income earner, if you were to use a traditional IRA, which means that you're putting pre-tax dollars into that account, and typically, when we contribute to a traditional 401k, we get a tax deduction. That money is shielded from taxes. But when you exceed the income limit thresholds for that tax deduction, then putting money in a traditional IRA no longer serves you because you're not going to get any tax benefits today, which is why that account could be helpful for you. So if you're putting money into an account that's not really as helpful for you from a tax perspective today, then the next question is, how could I use other accounts to diversify my tax strategy, not only today, but also during retirement? And that is where I say the backdoor Roth IRA becomes most beneficial because as you highlighted, we're all putting money into our 401ks, 403bs. We're not paying taxes on that money today. But when we pull that money out in retirement, guess who's paying taxes on that money? Me? You? We're paying ordinary income tax, right? And so what if the tax or ordinary income tax is through the roof? Then maybe we don't want to pull as much money out. And maybe we want to diversify our tax, how we're pulling money out. So putting money into a backdoor Roth IRA allows that money to be tax-free in retirement. You pay the taxes today, but when you pull it out in retirement, you don't pay the taxes. And there's so many other benefits about a Roth IRA that we're not going to get into all of them, but that just allows you to have diversification of the accounts that you're using and leveraging all of the benefits of those accounts. So I think that that is really, really important just to clarify that the reason why you're doing this, the reason why you're using the backdoor Roth IRA is not to save taxes on the money that you're putting in that account today. It is to diversify your utilization of the accounts and to pull out the money tax-free during retirement. So that is why it is so critical for you to do this backdoor Roth IRA every single year, in addition to what you're already doing in your 401k. So I just wanted to make sure that that is crystal clear because people always jump into my DMs, especially when we think about our contributions to a Roth IRA. It's $7,000 compared to our 401ks this year. If you're under 50, then you could put $23,500 into that account in 2025. So I think in a lot of people's mind, Leisha, I don't know if you get the same sentiment, but they're like, well, it's a small amount that I'm putting into this account. Why use this account? And the reason why is you are going to get tax diversification because you make more money. You don't really benefit from using a traditional IRA now.
I get what you're saying. I think that's really helpful. You're highlighting the benefit of having pre-tax money and post-tax money in retirement accounts that you can pull out. Your Roth IRA allows you to pull out some money tax-free in retirement. A lot of your work retirement accounts, you're going to pay taxes on that money when you take it out, right? And so having some Roth money and some pre-tax money is really helpful. I want to also highlight that putting money in a Roth IRA also prevents you from paying taxes as the money grows. When you're investing in a regular investment account, you got to pay capital gains taxes on the money. And so putting it in a Roth IRA IRA saves you from having to pay so much money in taxes as you go along, as that money continues to be invested year after year. And then I think another benefit of investing in a Roth IRA is the ability to invest in more things. When you are investing only through your work retirement accounts, you can only invest in the things that your job says you can. Usually each employer has a list of options to choose from, and that's it. But if you're somebody who maybe wants to invest in a little real estate, wants to invest in some different stocks or mutual funds or whatever, oftentimes you have way more options available to you if you open a Roth IRA. So I like what you said, tax diversification in retirement, decreasing the amount of capital gains taxes that you'll have to pay over time, increasing the amount of options that you have to invest in. So those are at least 3 benefits of a Roth IRA. For people who are first getting started, who maybe are residents or make around the average American household income, a Roth IRA can also be a backup emergency fund. One of the things I love is the ability to take out your contributions at any time. You got to leave the profits in the account, but you can take out your contributions at any time. And I find that a lot of people find that very helpful because it kind of serves as a backup emergency fund for them. And so I like that feature as well. And so there's a lot of benefits to contributing to a Roth IRA. And so I realized that when you start making a lot of money, you got to go through this Backdoor Roth IRA process. It can sound complicated if you've not done it before. And so I'm acknowledging that. But I want to reassure you it's quite simple. Once I show people how to do this one time, they're like, oh, that's it. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds more complicated than it is. It's like a couple clicks of a button in your Fidelity account or whatever brokerage firm you use, and you're good to go. And so as we're talking about how easy this is, Brittany, do you mind sharing with us, where do you house your Roth IRA and how exactly do you do this?
So I house my Roth IRA at Fidelity.
Same.
I feel like their platform is pretty user friendly. In addition to their customer service is quite robust. And whenever we have a question, I could call in and I get the answers that I need. So that is where I house our backdoor Roth IRAs. And I think it is a little overwhelming when you don't know the clicks or you haven't gotten started yet. But once you do it, it is quite simple. So let's talk about a step by step what you're supposed to do when you're contributing to a backdoor Roth IRA.
We're both like, yep, this is easy. Let's do it. For me, I log into Fidelity, right? Username and password. And there is an option on there where you can put transfer. You can make a trade or you can transfer. And for me, it's transfer, right? I transfer money from my bank account where my money is housed and I transfer it into a traditional IRA first. I transfer $7,000 because that's the contribution limit at one time. Fidelity and a lot of these brokerage firms, they want to make sure that there's no evidence of fraud. And so what happens is when you transfer the money, it can take a few days or even a week or two for the money to quote unquote settle. It takes a couple days or a couple weeks for Fidelity to be like, okay, there's no evidence of fraud. This was really your money that you transferred to your account, because they get tired of the fraud claims and all of that. So they like, look, we're going to make doubly sure this is your money and this is what you wanted to do. So it takes a couple days and sometimes a week or two for them to do that. Once the money quote unquote settles in the account and they've confirmed there's no fraud, I then log back into my Fidelity account and I click that button transfer again, and I transfer money from the traditional IRA to the Roth IRA. And I transferred that $7,000 and I click confirm. And then again, Fidelity's like, are you sure? And so it takes a couple days to a week for the money to settle into the Roth IRA account. And then once the money has settled into the Roth IRA account, I then invest it. For me, that means buying index mutual funds. So that's what I do. Transfer the money from the bank account to the traditional IRA, wait for the money to settle, then transfer the money from the traditional IRA to the Roth IRA, wait for the money to settle, and then I invest it. So those are the steps of doing the backdoor Roth IRA process for me.
So, Alicia, you have simplified the process. And I love that. That step by step assumes that you already have the traditional IRA open. So, sometimes if you do not have a traditional IRA already established with Fidelity, you actually have to go in and say open account and then choose the traditional IRA. And then you would transfer or fund the IRA by moving money from your bank accounts. If your bank account is not listed, then adding account. So, these are some of the additional clicks that you might have to take. But again, it's still pretty easy, right? If we can do our jobs, then we could definitely do a backdoor Roth IRA. And like Leisha said, once the money is there, once it's been settled, once it's been verified, then you may have to open up now a Roth IRA account to transfer the money into the Roth IRA account, which is very seamless. And when you do this, it is really imperative that you talk to your CPA, your tax accountant, and ask for them to file a Form 8606. Basically, that tells the government that you've put post-tax dollars into a traditional IRA, meaning that you're not getting any tax deductions. You've already exceeded the income limits to get the tax deductions, right? But it's just making sure that you're telling them that you put it into post-tax dollars into a traditional IRA, and then you did the conversion over into a Roth IRA. So this should not trigger a taxable event for you, because I know a lot of people are like, wait, do I have to pay taxes twice? No, you do not. When you do it correctly, when you put post-tax dollars into this pre-tax account and then roll it over into a post-tax account, it does not trigger any taxable event. So you should not have double taxation. There are some cases that we're going to talk about where that can occur, but if you do it properly and follow these steps, you should not have to pay taxes twice.
Brittany, I think one of the questions that I get is, Leisha, why? This doesn't make sense to me. Why do I have to put it in a traditional IRA first? I don't understand. If the IRS says that I can't contribute directly into the account, why would they make it so I have to put it in this other account first? It just seems like an unnecessary step. How is this allowable? Are you sure this isn't illegal? My tax accountant doesn't believe you. I get these sorts of questions. And I'm like, I can assure you it's legal. Also, my father's a tax professional. Been doing this for years, as have millions of other Americans. But I think, in one of our earlier episodes, Brittany, I think you broke this down so well. And I think it was really helpful. So I'm going to reiterate or paraphrase what you said then, here, now. And that is, although there is an income limit to contribute to a Roth IRA directly, there is no income limit to contribute to a traditional IRA directly. And so that's why when you make over a certain amount of money, you got to go through the traditional IRA account first. These wonky, complicated IRS tax rules that none of us like or enjoy, that just make our life harder. But for some reason, there is no income limit to contribute directly to a traditional IRA, but there is when you contribute directly to a Roth IRA. And so that is why high income earners have to go through this backdoor Roth IRA process, right? You got to put the money in a traditional IRA first, and then you convert it to a Roth IRA, and that is perfectly legal. And so it's an extra step that can take a few extra days for all the money to settle, but it makes it worth it, right? We talked about earlier, it allows you some tax diversification in retirement. It decreases the amount of taxes that you pay over time. It gives you more investment options that are not tied to your employer. It can serve as a backup emergency fund for you. And so I think those benefits are worth it to go through one extra step.
Yeah, it's all about finding the loopholes. And this is one of the loopholes that many people use. And yes, it is very legal. So you might be asking yourself, okay, should I use this strategy now? Am I one of those people who need to do that extra step, or am I going to make a money mistake like Leisha's cousin? So let us just kind of break down some of the simplistic numbers. And of course, you want to talk about this with your tax accountant, but from a general perspective, if you are a single filer and you make about 150,000, because a phase out begins at 146,000. If you make about 150,000 and you on your taxes are filing single, then you want to think about using this backdoor Roth IRA strategy. If you're someone who is married filing jointly and your adjusted gross income is about 230,000, if you make about 230,000, then you want to think about, okay, this is something that I need to do. Or if you're filing separately. I know sometimes when we have different circumstances, when we're paying back our student loans, you might file your taxes separately. So this is one thing that you want to consider. Again, always talk to your tax accountant. But if you live with your spouse and you're doing married filing separately, if you make over $10,000, then you usually cannot contribute to a Roth IRA directly, and you must do this backdoor Roth IRA. Now, if you don't live with your spouse, then things get a little bit more complicated and the single filer limits might apply. But all of that is, we just wanted to give you a few numbers, a few situations for you to consider, to talk with your accountant to say, hey, is this something that I actually need to do? Do I actually need to do this backdoor Roth? And your accountant may or may not be super comfortable with how these things are done. And so I think the question to them would be, hey, can you just tell me about, and you can look this up on your W-2s if you have one single one, but just understanding about how much you made in 2024 and in 2020, and how much you predict that you're going to make in 2025. And for those who are like, I don't know, I haven't done this yet in 2024, then you still have an opportunity up to the tax filing deadline, which is April 15th. So this is really important that you start to really conceptualize how much you made in 2024 if you have not done the backdoor Roth IRA, and if you want to do the backdoor Roth IRA, to understand what you made during that year so you can see if this is something that you need to do or not. All right, Leisha. So we talked about the benefits of the backdoor Roth IRA. We kind of gave them a step by step and who should start to consider if this is something that they need to do. Now, I got a question for you. So, with your cousin's situation, right? He already put money into a Roth IRA directly, but he realized now, like some people might be realizing on this podcast, that they might have made too much money to contribute directly into a Roth IRA. What would they need to do? How do we fix this mistake if we made a direct contribution into a Roth IRA when we should have taken the back door?
Yeah, so this is a mistake that is not uncommon. And so it's pretty easy to just call the brokerage firm where your Roth IRA is housed and ask them to recharacterize the contribution. They will recharacterize the contribution. And what you can do is they can say, hey, I know you contributed directly to the Roth IRA. Instead, recharacterize the contribution so that it looks like I contributed to a traditional IRA. And then you just do the Roth conversion and continue along your backdoor Roth IRA process. I realize that sounds confusing, but basically they recharacterize it. So you contributed directly to a Roth IRA by mistake. And so you ask them to, again, recharacterize it so that the contribution goes to the traditional IRA first. And then you can continue along your backdoor Roth IRA process. So it's pretty easy fix. Sometimes, depending on who is doing your taxes, it can get a little complicated with the tax forms. Nowadays, I think either people are paying for a tax professional to do this, which hopefully they know how to fill out the forms correctly, or they are using some sort of software like H&R Block or TurboTax or whatever, in which case H&R Block, I know as you're filling out the questions, it'll ask you, did you recharacterize a contribution this year? And so they're kind of anticipating that some people might have made some mistakes. You can also, I think, pay a small upcharge. Maybe it's 50 or $70 for a tax pro online that can help you navigate it to make sure that you complete your tax forms correctly. But yeah, this is not uncommon. People make this mistake. It's not that big of a deal. You just got to recharacterize your contribution and then you can go along from there.
Awesome. That's so refreshing and like provides a lot of ease and peace of mind, right? So even if you have made a mistake, there's a quick way to fix it. Another thing that I often hear is, okay, I put the money into the traditional IRA and we're waiting for that money to settle. And sometimes we forget. And so the money stays in the traditional IRA and is not invested yet. It's just sitting there. But while it's sitting there, it's accrued a little bit of interest. And so now the money that they have there might be more than the contribution limit of $7,000. Maybe they have $7,015. Now, when they're doing the conversion, what do they do, Leisha? Like, are they converting this money over?
Yeah, this is also not an uncommon problem. This happens all the time because usually when you put the money in a traditional IRA first, the money is not just sitting there, it's actually in some sort of settlement fund. Think of it like a high yield savings account, if you will. It's just like that money is earning interest. And so it's not uncommon for you to put $7,000 in there because you want to contribute the max. And then, like you said, it grows to $7,003 or $7,010 or $7,015, as you stated. This is not a big deal. This happens all the time. You convert all of the money and you will pay taxes on the amount above 7,000. So if your $7,000 contribution grew to $7,015, you'll just pay taxes on the extra $15. Not a big deal. You just convert it all. You pay taxes on the little bit of amount that's above the contribution limit. So this is also very, very common, very, very easy to fix.
All right, we're just dropping gems. Okay, so Leisha, last year when I presented at the Society of Hospital Medicine conference, there were so many people who had questions about Roth IRAs and backdoor Roth IRAs. And they're like, oh, well, when I moved from my past employer, my advisor told me to put my old 401k in a traditional IRA. So now I have money in a traditional IRA and I want to do the backdoor Roth IRA. Can I still do the backdoor Roth IRA? And we really clarified this during episode 6 where we talked about the Roth IRA and some of the pro-rata rule. But I'm just going to introduce us to what this means. What is the pro-rata rule? And we're going to walk through this. So if you're in a situation where you already have a traditional IRA and you want to do this backdoor Roth IRA thing, you could still do it, but you got to take a few extra steps. It's not too complicated, but we want to make sure that we clarify this for you. With the pro-rata rule is an IRS rule that determines how much of the backdoor Roth conversion will be taxable if you have pre-tax money in that account. And I don't want to jump into all the numbers because I don't want to make it too confusing. If you have a large amount of money that is pre-tax, say in a SEP IRA, say in a simple IRA or a traditional IRA that is all pre-tax, you might be taxed twice on your post-tax contributions when you do this Roth conversion, which is not a big deal except before, you want to take a step before you do the Roth conversion. And you want to make sure that you convert all of the money that is in any type of SEP IRA, traditional IRA, simple IRA into a Roth IRA, and then add your contribution of the $7,000 into that traditional IRA and do the conversion. Because what will happen is otherwise you may be taxed twice based upon the pro rata rule. Now, you might be saying to yourself that, oh, Brittany, I don't want to pay taxes on the money that is in the traditional IRA or in the SEP IRA or in the simple IRA. And if that is the case, then that is okay. But you will not be able to do the backdoor Roth IRA without being taxed twice on those post tax dollars that you are adding to that account.
Yeah. So, in order for you to be able to do the backdoor Roth IRA process, you have to follow certain IRS rules. And the set of rules you have to follow are called the pro-rata rules. And they basically state, hey, in order to do this backdoor Roth IRA process, you can't have money in some of these other accounts. The problem is a lot of people have money in these other accounts. So you got to move the money from those other accounts first. And where do you move it? Right? You can convert that money into a Roth IRA, in which you'll have to pay taxes, or you can just move it to another pre-tax account, right? You can move it to a solo 401k if you have one of those. You may even be able to move it into your new job's 401k or retirement account. Oftentimes, this comes into a head when people are switching jobs. You were in job A, and then now you've moved to job B, and you're trying to move the money from your old retirement account into some other account. And what we want to make sure that you're doing is that when you're in the process of moving money from accounts, that you make sure that money is in the right accounts that doesn't allow you to violate some of these IRS rules. It can get a little complicated. Brittany was giving you an example, and if you're like, hey, this seems complicated, this seems like a lot, I'm scared I'm going to mess something up, I want to let you know that's a normal feeling. But again, once you've done this once, it gets pretty easy. And if you're not confident doing it yourself, have your financial advisor, have your tax accountant kind of walk you through this. This, again, is not very difficult. There are ways that you can get around these IRS rules so that you can avoid paying so much in taxes, avoid that double taxation that Brittany was referring to, and kind of go from there. And so if you're taking things away from this conversation, I want you to take away a few things. Number one, contributing to a Roth IRA is beneficial for you. It allows you to invest money in a tax efficient manner. You can take out that money tax free when you retire. You have more investment options available to you. Money in a Roth IRA actually passes on to your heirs tax free. So when you pass away, you can pass this money down to your kids or your grandkids, and nobody pays taxes on that money. And so there's a lot of advantages to a Roth IRA. And if you make too much money to contribute directly, you got to contribute indirectly. All right. We talked about the steps to do that, right? Putting the money in a traditional IRA first and then converting it to a Roth IRA. Pretty simple. Just a few clicks of a button. If, that money grows over time, it's okay. Just convert it all. You'll pay taxes on the small amount that it grew. If you accidentally contribute directly, not a problem. You can recharacterize the contribution. If you've already got money sitting in a SEP IRA account or some other kind of IRA account, not a problem. Just move the money into a solo 401k or convert all of that money into a Roth IRA. So there are ways to kind of get around some of these issues and nuances that people tend to have. So I want to just give you some reassurance that this is possible, give you some reassurance that you can do this. And if you want someone to walk you through it first, I think that's totally reasonable and you can have that done as well.
All right. Well, that was a great summary. And I just really appreciate that we could have this conversation. I know a lot of people get confused about the backdoor Roth IRA. So, Leisha, your smooth sounding voice just put me at ease. And I hope that it put everybody else at ease about the backdoor Roth. All righty. Well, Leisha, I think it's time for some fun money. So, let's talk about what you're doing fun with money.
People in my family keep having babies. And so I keep buying baby shower gifts. And I mentioned that I was at a baby shower earlier in the episode, my brother's baby shower, and I just bought him some gifts, continuing to buy new things for the little one. One of my friends from residency just sent me an invite for her baby shower. I'm like, oh, pregnant again. Congratulations. So I'll see if I'll send a gift over there. A couple of my other friends are kind of working on either their first child or their second child. And I'm like, oh, there's something in the water that I am staying away from for right now. So for me, it is spending money on buying more baby gifts for my friends and their expanded families.
Well, I love that your friends and your family is having a baby shower for both kids. I only had a baby shower for one of my children. And maybe if there's like a huge gap, then like having a sprinkle or whatever, if the person has to buy everything anew. But for me, I had a lot of stuff already saved. So it seemed like I could just do it myself. Well, so
Yeah, yeah.
you're better than me.
Well, I think 'cause it was a different gender. It wasn't a huge event. I mean, I guess anything with my family is huge because we have so many family members, but I think they did brand it as like a sprinkle, right? There's not that much you need, but I think if you're having a different gender, maybe you want different clothes and there's different appliances or things that she didn't have the first time that she was like, "Hey, I kind of want this." Like there's this, I don't know, bottle dishwasher thing. Clearly, I don't know the exact name because I don't have kids, but apparently it like washes all the breast pump parts and all the bottles and sanitizes it. And my sister-in-laws, they're like, "Leisha, all I do is clean. Whether it's the bottles, the breast pump parts, clothes, my house, I'm always cleaning." And so any device that they can use to sort of make that process more efficient, less painful, and less time consuming, they're all about it.
Mhm.
So I think there's a combination of some of those gifts too.
Very nice. What brought to mind is having a RoboVac. I don't know if your sisters have that, but that's one of the things because kids make a lot of crumbs and just in that little Robo vacuum around to collect everything. That's what I have. I love my RoboVac. Well, I am not buying RoboVacs or baby shower gifts with my fun money, but what I am doing is getting my nails done. And this has been a whole conversation even on this podcast. But recently, what Brooke and I have been doing is doing mommy daughter dates. I used to do this maybe a year ago, and I would pick her up from school early and we would spend some time together, just she and I. And recently, I've just seen that she needs more attention from mommy because my son, KJ, he just takes all of my energy and attention. Last Sunday, we got our nails done. And then this Sunday, I just bought a new polish and she painted my nails for the first time. She was so like, "Oh my gosh, mommy, I did a great job." So I think that's gonna be our thing on Sundays. We're gonna like either go to the nail salon or just have a home nail spa day with each other. So that's what I'm doing. That's fun with money. And it's not necessarily fun like getting our nails done per se, but just spending the time together.
Okay. And I guess you got to buy different nail polish colors. Is that what you're purchasing and all the nail stuff?
I get a lot of it, but yeah, we're always looking for new colors.
Maybe I need to come over there to the Halford household and get mine done. Y'all do toes too, or y'all just sticking with fingernail?
Yeah, we just stick with hands.
Okay.
You gotta go to pay somebody else for your toes, girl.
Noted.
Okay.
Noted.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode, and we will see you in the next one. Hello, and thank you for listening to our podcast. And because of that, we have something for you, our Wealthy Minds Blueprint.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I could be better with money? Do you want to start investing and saving for retirement, but keep delaying because you don't know where to start? Our Wealthy Minds Blueprint is here to help.
This guide will teach you what you didn't learn in your training so you can stop being confused about money and start taking what we call wealthy-minded action.
We'll help you become a master of your finances and simplify investing so you can get started today. Take control of your financial future by downloading your free copy of the Wealthy Minds Blueprint now and start building the wealth you deserve.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittany Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisa Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, you know. So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.
One of the most important things you can do is ensure you have long-term disability insurance. Long-term disability insurance secures your income if the unexpected happens and you are unable to work due to medical illness, chronic conditions, or an accident.
Unfortunately, all insurance agents aren't created equal. Some of them are so focused on making a sale that they fail to reveal certain necessary information, tell you about discounts available, or clearly explain the process. Pradip Bhatto and his team at PKA Insurance Group are different. They have a reputation of putting people over profits and always doing what's best.
If you need life insurance or disability insurance, reach out to Pradip and his team today. They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.